Hey, welcome back. Another episode here. Another video for Banish the Doubt. I am, in this human form, George McNamara, and I bow to the light that is inside of you. See, I'm speaking directly to that light. I'm speaking to that part of you that is birthless, that is deathless, that is eternal, that is the field. You are the field, and the field is you. These, if it's your first time watching this video, first time watching me, these probably words you've never heard in your life. Because society, the majority of society lives in what's called survival mode. Survival mode, that is competition. What I'm saying here, there's no right or wrong. There's no such thing as right or wrong. There's no such thing as time. There's no such thing as the past. There's no such thing as the future. There is only ever this presence. It's the present moment. You see, you have been conditioned, we all have, to live in this survival mode. Generations, ancestors prior to you have lived this way. You have been carrying on with this unconscious programming and this type of a mentality because that's what society is. Society is in me versus them, you versus me, us compared to them. It is conservative or liberal, right or left. It is competition. It is marketplace. It is Main Street. It is marketing to you and to myself. You're not there yet. You need the car. You need the girl. You need the guy. You need the shirt. You need the house. You need the second home at the beach or in the mountains. You need the yacht. You need the private jet. You need the car. You need multiple cars. You need the title, the letters after your name. You need the corner office. For those who live in survival mode, there's never enough. We've seen this picture many, many, many times. You need to look no further than Hollywood or any type of entertainment, and the majority of the people are not happy. See, I contend that the majority of people are not emotionally prepared, ready, stable for a marriage, much less to raise another child, to raise another human, a human in this, another life force in this human body. Because we are operating out of this subconscious programming. You see, you and I, in third trimester of our mom's pregnancy with us, that's when our brains turned on. But it was our subconscious brain. See, our conscious brain wasn't developed until around age 7. So the subconscious brain had 7 years of programming downloaded into it. And then we go living our life and we say, as an example, we type in to the computer because our thoughts and our emotions are the keyboard. We type in blue, let's just say, as an example, and red comes up. We're like, I don't understand. I keep typing in blue, but I keep getting red. It's because you're conditioned for red, not for blue. And it's a simple example, but so let me go back to the first year of your life. In my life, we slept all the time, infant sleep, because we're in what's called delta brainwave state. It's one of the slowest brainwave states that our brains go into. It is exactly like when we're sound asleep in the middle of the night, into that deep, deep sleep, and we're off dreaming. But when we are awake, we are observing life, our environment. But even prior to that, while we were still connected to our mother through the umbilical cord, whatever mom's environment was, it was like, whatever mom's thinking was, whatever mom's beliefs, her belief about herself and about this environment that she lived in, that energy, that vibration, because we're all vibration, everything is energy, everything is vibration. That transference of energy went through her, through the umbilical cord, and into you and I as this fetus. So we have this transference of energy. When we are taking on this human form, we are now observing mom in this environment, and now we're observing dad. We're observing this dynamic between the two. If there are children, there are your brothers or sisters, you are observing all of that. And we are given this set of rules. There was a study conducted in Japan, not sure how many years ago, and I may not have it exactly correct, but you'll get the gist of it. So they took a chimp, a mother chimp, and for 3 years they studied and they taught this chimp to go to a computer, to type in a certain program. Colors came up on the screen to identify the certain color, and then do some more to type into the keyboard something else. And when it did it correctly, the computer was set up to have a coin spit out of the computer. The chimp was able to, as a reward, to take the coin, get off the stool, go down on the floor, hop across the floor to a vending machine that was on the opposite side of the floor, put the coin into the machine, pull a lever, and a treat came out. And the chimp was able to be rewarded. Scientists worked and worked and worked and worked and worked with this chimp to get it to understand exactly how to do the behaviors. Well, during that time, the chimp became pregnant. So now she has the cub with her. And she's carrying the cub. And she's going through the work. And she's doing all the information. And she'd get off, she would finally do everything correctly. The computer would spit out the coin to get the coin across down the stool. The chimp went across the floor, watched, they pulled the lever, the treat came out, and she enjoyed the treat. Now she has the cub with her, the baby. One day, the scientists, to their amazement, the chimp was going through the different rules, the different mechanisms, and she left the chimp on the stool, got down, went across the floor, got her treat. To everybody's amazement, the chimp, instead of going after mom, turned to the computer without prompting, did everything correctly. Typed in what the chimp needed to type in. Color bar came up. It found the right color. It typed in the right code or whatever. Out came the coin. The baby grabs the coin, gets off of the stool, runs across, puts the coin into the vending machine, pulls the right lever, and is enjoying the treat. This happened, the scientist said, within about a month. What it took them to train mom for 3 years without interacting at all with the baby did it within this in about a month's time, proving that we take on the mechanics of our environment just by observation. No connection, no interaction, just observing. So we then are taught, if you will, how to deal with or how to act when stressful environments come into the environment, right? However, your dad or your mother handled this, they modeled the behavior that you and I take on. Now, I want to go back to the statement I made about marriages. Everything is wonderful, right? You're in the honeymoon state, whatever it's called, until something goes wrong. And then either the husband or the wife comes home after a stressful day at the office, and the other spouse says, whoa, what's going on with you? What's this? What's going on? Who are you? You're like a different person. Again, because we're not emotionally ready for marriage or for ourselves, how to self-correct. If I were to cut my hand, okay, it's stressful. Let's say it hurts, and I left it alone, nature would just heal it. Our bodies would just heal itself. But the ego can't just let it go. See, in survival mode, we need to control. That's what you do when you're in survival. That's what you do when you're born into a stressful environment. You learn to control. So we have to control everything. You'll know people who are anxious, who are not comfortable just by interacting with them. There's not very much eye contact. They may not let you continue to speak. They'll cut you off in mid-sentence. Learn to observe these traits, if you will. This is quintessential somebody who is anxious, who is not in the now moment, whose mind is all over the place, or who is trying to control. That is classic survival conditioning, survival mode. The person who can be present, in the moment, present, relaxed, self-talk, can talk to somebody, look them in the eye, be present with that person, talking to them. It's just you and me. There's nobody else here. And it could be a room full of people. This is the characteristics of a person who is very much I don't say in control, but within themselves. The words that you use, that the average person in the world uses, and I'm speaking to you from America, so I'll just use America as an example, is stress or is survival mode. I need to do something. We need to go there. We need to go to do this. I have to do that. I have to do this. We have timelines. We have quotas. Right? We're making money. How much money do you make? See, this is just some examples. Instead of I have to go to work, we change it to maybe I get to go to work. Instead of I have a meeting, I get to go to this meeting. It's all in how we talk to ourselves. That energy is pushed out to the world, to the field. And then the field reflects back to you and to I exactly how we talk to ourselves. It's about what we believe to be true about ourselves, what we assume to be true about ourselves and our environment, and what we presume about ourselves and our reality and our environment. No matter whether that is self-talk, which is positive, which is centered, which is in the now moment, or it's self-talk that is of a survival mechanism or survival mode or tribalistic that goes out to the world. Survival mode is tribalistic. Survival mode is I'm here, you're there. We're separate from each other. Survival mode is us versus them, good versus evil. Survival mode is the rich are there and I'm here. The rich don't pay their fair share. It is manipulative. That's survival mode. It is controlling. That's survival mode. When you learn to recognize and appreciate the fact that everything I say, moment to moment, is being sent out to the field, and the field is reflecting it back to me. The field doesn't play favorites. The field doesn't care good or bad. There is no such thing as good or bad, right or wrong to the field. It just is. Your world is a mirror of your conversations with yourself. The conversations you have with others are just you pushed out talking to yourself. I know that's going to be a bit of a challenge for some. It was for me to understand this. But the people in your reality, in your environment, you put them there based on these thoughts and this belief system you have for yourself. So, okay, George, then we're 17 minutes into this. How do we change? There is no such thing as change. There's just an awareness. How do I become more aware? Well, listen to videos like this and others on YouTube. It is a conversation, is a declaration, it's an intention that you place inside of yourself. I intend, I declare, I am. And then you fill in whatever that is after the I am. I am rich. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am abundant. I am in the most beautiful relationship of my life. First, it's with yourself. Because whatever it is that you tell yourself, you are now attracting that partner, that person that they're showing up in your world based on how you talk to yourself, how you feel about yourself. Okay? I am perfect health. Just like I mentioned, my hand, if I cut it, it'll heal on its own. The same holds true for if a branch falls out of a tree and lands on the ground. Let's say it's in the forest or on weeds or dirt. A chemical reaction starts to take place. And that branch breaks down back into soil, providing a fertile environment for the seed from that tree to fall into that soil. And with the sun and with rain, it will now grow another tree. It'll just reproduce. The same is true with you and I. Like I mentioned, I cut my hand, let it go, it's going to heal. We are, you and I, made up of 7 quadrillion atoms. Each one of these atoms billions of years old. So you and I are quite literally the universe in this human form, which is, I say, I'm George McNamara. I identify the ego as George McNamara. And I bow to the light that's in you because you and I are light. 75% of what we are is light. But we also have, larger than these atoms, we have cells that make up our body. Billions and billions and billions and billions of cells. Each one of these cells have receptor sites on them, just like you and I, the skin. We can feel if it's cold, we can feel if it's warm, feel the warmth of the star that we call the sun. It's not a sun, it's a star. Okay? But these cells, they can actually adjust, and they can adjust their genetics. Okay? And their activity. They adjust their genetics and their activity based on the environment. But it's the real environment. However, they also adjust and they can change genetically based off of the environment that we create through our thinking. You see, there is the field out there, and that is the true environment. But our interpretation of the environment that we say we're in, the people, the circumstances, what have you, our belief system about who we feel we are creates a thought. And that thought then creates an emotion, a feeling. Okay? How we think, the words we use, goes into or from the field, because if you were to cut your brain open, there are no thoughts in there. There is no such thing as a past, like I mentioned earlier. There is nothing that went on before. It's all right now. But this thought that goes into our brain, the brain then interprets that thought and creates a chemical reaction within our body that goes through our bloodstream. Okay? Based off of that. Now, if we change the thinking, we change the self-talk, these are some of the things that will happen. I wrote these notes down. It says, you are not here to describe what is, okay? You are here to declare what shall be. Again, I am, and then you fill that in. You are declaring it. Here's what else happens. When you speak from the end, so I am already that. Okay, I am living in a home. If you're living in an apartment, I am in this. I am the president of a company, whatever it may be. I am the owner and operator of my own company. I am in a beautiful relationship. I am perfect health, whatever it may be. Okay, when you do that, when you occupy the state of the one who already has this is what happens. Life then bends. Circumstances rearrange. Okay? People show up. Resources appear. Opportunities open up. Now, I want to state one other thing. They're already there. For you to desire anything means it's already there in the field. You are linked to it. You and I, everything is connected in this field. We are not separate. But this is what happens when we start to change the environment in here. The environment out here starts to change. Not by accident, not by chance, but by law. Just like if I were to take this marker and I drop it, right? You see how fast that happened? The law of gravitation. There's the law of this assumption that everything, because everything you see in this world, every building, every house, every skyscraper, airplane, whatever it may be, was first here before it was tangible. Okay? So, your assumption is not passive. It is an energetic decree. It commands the unseen to become seen. You and you alone. You have the most important voice in this whole world. It is your voice, nobody else's. And it's this voice that talks to this human body, this spiritual essence that's operating in this human body. The way you talk to it is transmitted instantaneously to the field. And instantaneously, connection is made to whatever that I am. After that I am, you say. If you want to start slow, just start saying the words I am. Just be silent and just say, I am. And just be silent. That's why in the Bible it says, be still and know that I am God. It didn't say be still and think about what happened last week. It didn't say be still and argue with your neighbor. It didn't say be still and try to right a wrong. It says be still and know that I am God. Metaphysically, what that message is you are God, not some entity outside of you. There's no such thing. Jesus said, do not look for me. Do not try to attach yourself. I'm sort of putting words in his mouth, but don't look for me. It is you. He always said, it's you inside. Whenever you see somebody, especially somebody who triggers you, from this point on, what you want to do is you want to see them how you would like them to be. See them that way. And also know that they, being the trigger, being that person that they show up and you can feel the energy shift inside of you, that's because that's you. That's that part of you that you no longer associate with, you want to get rid of, the old wound. That's why they trigger you. You're better off by saying they're taking salt and they're just sprinkling it right into that open wound. That's why you react that way. But understand, and from this day forward, we're going to look at that person and thank them quietly to yourself if you want to, for they are, and I am absolutely an example of this. They are teaching you. They taught me the areas in our life that are not healed. The areas in our life that we say, okay, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on changing the conversation in my head about myself. That changes that. That's why the alcoholic can go to a bar once they are identified as being sober. They self-identify as being sober, and they can have alcohol all around them and not have any urge to drink because they've changed in here their identification with who they are. So therefore, there is no more desire to drink. So again, we want to change the language, the way we talk to ourselves about ourselves, because we know that each thought carries within it the blueprint of an outcome. Okay, so what outcome then do you desire to see? What outcome do you desire to align yourself with? And if it's money, understand that money is a frequency. It's nothing else. You could take a dollar bill and place it on the ground. In fact, I tell you what, here, if you want to understand how this perception works, you take a dollar bill and you just leave it on the ground. Someone walks by and goes, oh, there's a dollar bill. I'll go over and pick it up. You take a $100 bill and put it in the same spot. You watch how fast people race to that $100 bill. Why? Because it's a perception. The person who has 1,000,000 of those every month looks at that, and if they're not in survival mode, which the other people are, they look and say, oh, wow, that's great. It's a $100 bill. I'll go over and I'll pick it up. Here's the other thing. If it's a person who has already changed in their mind about who they are and they don't have $1,000,000 per month, let's say it's 10,000, let's say it's $1,000 per month, but they've changed who they are inside, that they no longer are in survival mode, they'll still see that $100 bill and they'll act the same way as a person who has $1,000,000 come to them every single month. Because it's a perception about themselves. They know they can generate that money like that. Okay? Again, so money is a frequency. Think of money this way. Thermostat on the wall. And your thermostat is, let's say it's set at 64 degrees. But your desire is $50,000 per month. For your thermostat about money, about yourself, it's set and it's about yourself at 64 degrees. But somebody who operates within that frequency of that kind of money that they generate, that is, let's say, 125 degrees. And let's just suppose for, if this example, you one day decide you're going to play the lottery, okay? And let's say it's a $10 million payout and you have proper numbers. Suddenly you go from, and let's just say 64 degrees was $60,000 a year. You've gone from $60,000 a year, is what you're generating, to suddenly 10 million. And 10 million, that thermostat is at 290 degrees, and you're at 64. But now you're living in an environment at a frequency that is 290 degrees. It will not take you long at all for your self-talk to bring you right back down to the 64, because it's how you see yourself and how you talk to yourself about yourself, what your beliefs are about yourself, what your assumptions are about yourself and about your world, your reality, and your presumption. What I'm saying is 10 million, 10,000, $10, 100 million, it doesn't mean anything. It's all here first, because the person who was generating $10 million a month generated it here first inside themselves. Now, I'll leave you with this last story. There's two different paths to that $10 million a month. One of the people who was living that type of a lifestyle, and you watch my videos prior to this, you know what story I'm going to talk about. He is one of the founders of the show Shark Tank. He was living the 10 million, and I don't know if it was certainly $10 million per se per month, but he was living a lifestyle that can command that type of lifestyle. Cars, Ferraris, yachts, private jets, homes around the world. Days away from taking his own life because he couldn't handle that he had gone through a divorce. It was such a traumatic event. Because what happens is when you're in survival mode, where I talked about the chemical reaction within you based off of what you believe about yourself and how you believe about this life leads to that. The divorce just confirmed what he was already thinking about himself. You see what I'm saying? Versus compared to the other person, not compared, but there's the other person who's living at $10 million a month, and they have a very centered type of thinking. They are enough. They see themselves living a life of $10 million, $10 million a month, but they're comfortable with who they are. They generate that type of income. One makes the money, the other one generates it. One has to go out and grind and do the survival mechanism, survival mode, survival way of thinking to get that. The other one understands, I just change my thinking and the money comes to me. Those are the two different ideologies and ways of thinking. What I'm espousing here is to change the thinking inside your mind about yourself, not from an egoic side, which is that survival mode, but more from a spiritual side, which is I am. That's why Jesus said to the fishermen, cast your net to the right. Okay, remember the story in the Bible. The left brain thinking was the $10 million a month, grinding and struggling and working. And he had, in fact, here's one of my quick stories, and this will be the end of the video. That gentleman, Robert, I forget how you say his last name, talked about how he was working 22 or 23 hours a day. He said he was just 7 days. He was just grinding and going and going and going and going. He said finally got to the point in his life where he had made enough money, he said, he could finally buy a used Ferrari. He went home, wanted to show off the Ferrari, called one of his neighbors and said, "Hey," and he had the Ferrari set in his garage. Opened up the garage, said, "Hey, look what I got." And the guy's like, "Whoa," "Wow, look at that." He said, "A Ferrari, that's wonderful." And he right away went, "Look at my garage." He opened it up. Robert said he had two side by side brand new Porsches. And Robert said he was crushed at that moment. He said, "What am I doing wrong?" Notice the wording. What am I? What am I? I am doing wrong. That's survival mode. That's survival mindset. So no wonder he ended up in a divorce in his marriage. So remember, each thought you have carries with it the blueprint of an outcome. And I'll share with you this quote from Dr. Bruce Lipton. He said, "A cell," and I talked about this a couple minutes ago, but I want to get the full quote here before we end. "A cell adjusts its genetics and its activity to conform to the environment." How does a cell know what's going on in the environment? My mind. My mind is interpreting the environment and then sending not the real information about the environment, but my interpretation of the environment. $10 million, I'm just going to say that's what it was. Maybe could have been a little less, could have been a little bit more per month. That gentleman. What am I doing wrong? He was sending these thoughts into his mind. The body on a cellular level was interpreting that and changing chemically within him based on those thoughts. And I'm going to say this, and this is it. You are not here to describe what is. You are here to declare what shall be. When you speak from the end, when you occupy the state of the one who already has, life bends, circumstances rearrange, people show up, resources appear, opportunities open, not by accident, not by chance, but by law. Your assumption is not passive, it is an energetic decree. It commands the unseen to become seen in both of those paths. It is the law. Which outcome that your thought has, the blueprint of the outcome, what outcome do you want to see? It's based on the thoughts that you have. Have a great day.